You've come back. Welcome. You're always welcome. We love you. Spread the ghost love. It's Jas. It's Saturday night. I'm editing episode 22, the Dalnavert Museum, part 2, the interviews. So on this extended episode, we talk with people that came by our table, chatted a little bit. They told us some of their experiences, not necessarily in the Dalnavert, but just in general. So it's always nice to get a perspective on other people who feel things, sense things, and have seen things. Of particular note, please listen to around the 8-minute 50 mark if you have a counter on this. There is something that we picked up on the audio. Do I tell you? Sure. You hear, as soon as I offer to hand out a business card to somebody that's come by the table, you hear a little ghost girl in the background. And the mic is pointed in my direction towards the house, so I know it's not picking up anybody else. And you hear when I offer, would you like a business card? You hear a little girl say, yes, yes, yes. So listen for that very carefully. I've had about 8 people listen to it prior to putting this out, and everybody agrees, creepily enough, that's exactly what we heard. So we're not too sure who she was. She could have been maybe a little waif that Hugh John picked up on his way and helped house and feed in the basement with some of the other little street urchins, the children that he felt pity upon and wanted to provide them with safe haven in his house. Could that be who this little girl is? We don't quite know. Other notable things that had happened in the house that we discuss is the video camera shutting off when we were taping upstairs on our private tour, and that video is hopefully going to be out this week as well once I figure out how to edit the video, but that's another story. Me and Jenn, when we were setting up that morning, we don't talk about it on this audio, but when we were setting up for the day at the Dalnavert for Doors Open, again, thank you so much for Cindy Tugwell with Heritage Winnipeg. Thank you so much for Thomas, the manager of the Dalnavert, and his wonderful staff. We had an excellent time, beautiful time, perfect day for it, and it was such a good experience. We hope to be back as well. So when we were setting up our table that day at the Dalnavert, we walked towards the parking lot, and there was a lady all dressed up, walked past us in her antique clothes for the day. And me and Jenn are wrapped up in our own conversation. We hear a clicking of heels of probably another lady dressed up in elegant period costuming of the day. And as we approach the corner, we wait for this person to turn the corner because we didn't want to startle her. And as we're talking away, we stop and we realize, where did they go? We heard the clicking of the heels, maybe about 8 steady clicks of heels onto the pavement. And we turned the corner and there was nobody there. So please listen to this episode again, part 2, and this is at the Dalnavert Museum, Doors Open Winnipeg, and that's at 61 Carlton Street. We highly recommend visiting this beautiful home, or what was the previous home of Hugh John MacDonald and his family. So again, just a beautiful story. They restored this lovely building. Can't say enough good things about the work that the Friends of the Dalnavert are doing for this heritage home. And at the same time, if anybody wishes to contribute, comment, give us some stories, just want to yak, keep in touch, please contact us at givinguptheghost.podcast@gmail.com. As well, we are on the beloved Facebook. We are on Instagram and Twitter. So we have very many social media outlets for you to reach out and touch us. And at the same time, please tell your friends of our podcast, show us the ghost love, and let everybody know if you want something fairly witty, fairly funny. We're legends in our own mind. Yeah, that's great. Share our podcast. We'd greatly appreciate that. Much love and enjoy the next episode. Live every day like it's your last, but never give up the ghost. Bye for now. Mm-hmm. So we are here. We are with a volunteer with the museum, and she's going to just have a quick interview with us and tell us stuff before things start happening and it gets busy. Mm-hmm. So we'll point the microphone in your way. We're low budget.
The ball is in your court.
So what is your name?
Tylene.
Tylene?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty.
Thank
Never
you.
heard that before.
Yeah.
And you said you volunteer here, you work here, you worked at a few museums.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah.
And you've had some experiences.
Yes. I don't know where to start. I've had actually lots of experiences in different...
Well, you're very youthful.
Yes.
And you said that you're a medium as well?
Yes.
So you're intuitive. And let's backtrack a little bit. When was the first time that you felt you had this ability? Like, what reached out to you? What kind of grabbed your intuition?
When I was 3 years old, I actually, one of my ancestors appeared to me, and she was my great-grandfather's aunt.
Oh.
And I kept telling my mom, I see her, she looks like a spud. She's like kind of in old period clothes.
Okay.
And my mom didn't believe me until my mom's great aunt showed us a picture of her, and I was like, that's her. And she was like, oh, wow. She was actually really creeped out because it's the person I described to her, and I wouldn't have met her. She died like
eons ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Were you in a house that you think, like, were you in an old house? Like
No.
It was just you. It was you were sort of like a receptacle to it.
Yeah, I kind of bring in, like, if I think of someone, I kind of can bring them in, and it's very weird. Yeah.
That's nice. Cool. Good for you.
Yeah.
And so with this interest, obviously, because you're attuned and stuff, and now you say you've had other experiences. What was your first experience like in a museum or a location?
My first one, I would say, is Dalnavert. I was turning off the lights in the second floor when I was by Jack's room, and all of a sudden I felt someone's hand go down my back really aggressively, and not like, kind of like in a playful way, but like enough that you can actually feel a human hand. And the servant's staircase is behind me, and so I look, but there's no one behind me, and you could hear if someone's running down.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy in there.
Yeah, and so I was like, because I was beside his bedroom, and he died, and we're pretty sure he died in his room. And he was around my age, and I was around 20, so... I ran down the staircase, did not want to turn off the lights for the longest time after that, but now I can go in the house by myself without being freaked out. I'm like, hi, Jack.
Yeah, I just think you talk to him, because I think that's the best way to handle that, right?
Yeah. Gertrude, who is the wife, I don't think she's as friendly as Hugh John and Jack.
I heard she's pretty staunch, right?
We can
matriarch.
Sometimes we can smell her perfume if she's kind of ticked with us. So
Cool.
Yeah,
That's
so whenever we smell her perfume, we're like, oh no.
What do we do now?
Yes. Yeah, and I've also volunteered at the Vaughan Street Jail for Doors Open. I usually play prostitutes. And so, so I think the murderers or the men that were in that building, they kind of look at me and they're just like, "Oh, hey there!"
I can imagine. Yeah, that would not be a great place to be a female, right?
Yeah,
no.
And the place that I felt the most creeped out, and I did not want to be in the house alone, was the Seven Oaks house.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, I volunteered there. And this guy who was not a believer at all, he was turning off the lights in one end of the house. I was turning off the kitchen lights. And all of a sudden, we already turned off the lights upstairs. And all of a sudden, we heard walking from one end of the house to the other. It was, it was...
To the point where somebody wanted to be noticed.
Yeah.
Imagine, right?
It was like hard footsteps. And one of the people that lived, like the whole family lived in this house. And one of them was the brother of the mom, and he was at sea for the longest time, and his bedroom is upstairs. And so we think it's him.
Wandering around.
Yeah, and so, it was just footsteps, and then the guy who wasn't a believer, he got really freaked out. Because I was telling him how I was a medium, and he was like, oh, I've never experienced anything in this house. And then that same day, he heard that, and then he was like... He didn't even want to go upstairs to check.
No.
And
Did he say anything to you after, or no?
He just, I was like, do you believe me now? And he just kind of gave me a look like, I don't want to.
That look like his tail was between his legs.
Yes.
I'm just going now,
Yeah. So, I have so many other ghost stories, but that's mostly the ones in public buildings.
Right. But you know what? Because we do this regularly. We've been doing this for 19 weeks. This is our 19th week. We're brand spanking new. And we just want to be able to connect people with the history and just... Our town is so haunted for the good and for the bad.
Yes.
And people just don't realize what's in their backyard. So we want to connect our listeners or people to know what they're missing out on or what
and
it's
they
almost
can
like
come look too.
they can come check things out like today and speak with people or listen to people tell their stories. Not to make non-believers believers, but just you have to understand that there's more to it than just this. Like, there is something further. There's energy. We carry the energy, right?
Yes.
So even after this life and stuff. So we just want people to appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, Taylene, right?
Tyleen.
Tyleen,
Yeah.
sorry.
Gorgeous name.
You know what? By all means, keep in touch with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's our card. We'd love to
Email
hear
us.
from you. Email us, please.
Yeah.
And certainly we'd love to have you on the show again.
Mm-hmm.
Bring you down to the pod now.
Yeah, come to the pub.
Yeah.
Sit around.
I mean, it's
Sounds
like
good.
we're
Yeah.
cool people.
Yeah,
We're okay.
We're pretty good.
But check out our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We drink and we swear quite a bit. Actually, we won't
Oh.
today.
Yeah, not today,
we're
though.
gonna be
Wow.
Yeah, we're pretty nice.
You guys
today.
sound like me. Like, I don't, except for the drinking. I don't drink, but
Oh,
I
well,
swear a
you
lot.
swear a
Oh,
lot.
but we
That's
eat,
fine.
you see, like
Yeah, we eat too.
Okay.
Oh, she's
Jeez.
oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this is Jen. This is
Yep.
Tyleen.
Hi.
Yeah, she just
You.
Sharing
some
with us.
awesome stories.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, we're done with her. Thank you so much.
Great.
We're done with her.
We're
But enjoy your day.
Yeah.
If you have
Yeah.
anything else you want to share and come back,
Yeah.
we're going to be here for
If
hours.
anything happens
so
while you're here.
anything
Yeah.
happens, ooh.
Come here if anything
It
happens.
usually does have a lot of things do happen during Doors Open. We can usually this is when we smell
Cigar smoke or?
no well sometimes we do, but it's mostly Gertrude's perfume we smell.
Eau de
And-
toilette?
But usually it's by the staircase that you can
Oh.
smell, and sometimes I can smell it when I'm outside, and
Wow, that's strong.
it's very strong. So
Case in the ground.
yes,
Yeah, she's watching hers. But you know, it's kind of sad though, because when he died, she was impoverished, so she had to
Yeah.
sell everything.
Yeah.
I know.
That's just, I don't know. That's just, it. You know, it makes you wonder, you want to know more about the lifestyle back then too, because it's
No
just like,
kidding.
well, didn't they anticipate any of this? Why did you have to sell off the house? Like,
Everything.
Yeah.
I know. Like
because
the
she was
whole
obviously
contents.
used to a really posh lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
Then where'd you go after you sold all her?
Roslyn Apartments.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not posh lifestyle.
No, so it makes you wonder,
Ah.
like,
Mhm.
it was all a facade, maybe, you know,
Maybe.
like she just,
Yeah.
just spent it faster than they can make it, maybe?
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Feeding the people downstairs.
probably.
But that's in a good way, though.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Yeah.
take much money, so.
I think she spent some of the money. Like, she was kind of high class, so
I heard, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I better get back to my house.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. It was nice meeting you and sharing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye. Here's our business card if you want to check out our show. We're only 19 episodes in, so we are pretty brand spanking. You want a card? Oh, sure.
Definitely.
So my name's Jas. I'm one of the hosts. My other host is Sher. She's over there having a smoke, unfortunately. So, and you say that you've had some experiences?
So many.
Have you really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
I'm psychic. So,
Are you?
yeah.
Nice. That
It-
comes in handy.
It can.
And so what was your first name?
Sienna.
Sienna. Hi, Sienna. Hi. Hello. How are you? Good. How are you? We're giving up the ghost. We're Winnipeg's first and only paranormal podcast. So we're just telling ghost stories, hearing ghost stories. And if you want to check us out, here's our information where you can find us. Okay. Or if you have any stories, certainly email in too. We're all open. We're all open about this stuff. So Sienna, how you were saying you've had experiences?
Yes, and one right here on the porch.
You did.
Yes.
Something touch you or just
No,
energy?
I was just at the front there. It was during Fringe.
Oh, okay.
So I was at the front and I was waiting to buy tickets for a show here, which had very few tickets for sale at Doors, so I came really early. And I was knitting away. I always have knitting with me, so I was knitting away. And I pulled the yarn. That was when we were knitting Viajante. And I pulled my yarn and a big tangle came out, which is not unusual with certain yarns. And so I thought, well, I'll deal with it when I knit up to that part. I'll just keep knitting and And then I very clearly heard a woman say, "Let me help you with that, dear." And I just automatically said, "Yes, please, thank you so much." And the tangle just fell out.
Wow. Well, it's nice to have friends on both sides.
Very, but this is someone connected with the house.